Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Metropolis, there lived a wealthy and arrogant young man named Alexander. He was the heir to a vast fortune amassed by his ancestors, and he flaunted his wealth at every opportunity. Alexander believed himself to be superior to everyone around him, looking down on those he deemed unworthy of his attention. Despite his wealth, Alexander lacked true friends or genuine happiness. His arrogance repelled others, leaving him isolated in his opulent mansion with only his material possessions for company. One day, as Alexander strolled through the city streets, he encountered a beggar sitting on the sidewalk, his weathered face lined with hardship. "Get out of my way, peasant!" Alexander spat, wrinkling his nose in disgust. The beggar looked up at Alexander with tired eyes but said nothing. This lack of response only fueled Alexander's arrogance further. He kicked at the beggar's outstretched hand, scattering a few coins onto the ground. "That's all you are worth?" Alexander sneered, striding away with a smug grin. But as Alexander continued on his way, something strange happened. He felt a sudden dizziness overcome him, and the world around him began to spin. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in a dimly lit room, surrounded by unfamiliar faces. "What's going on?" Alexander demanded, his voice tinged with fear. "You are in the court of consequences," a voice boomed from the shadows. "You have been brought here to face judgment for your arrogance and cruelty." Alexander's heart pounded in his chest as he realized the gravity of his situation. Before him stood a figure draped in a flowing robe, its face obscured by darkness. "I am the arbiter," the figure declared. "And it is my duty to determine your fate." With a wave of its hand, the arbiter conjured images from Alexander's past, scenes of his mistreatment of others, his disdain for those less fortunate, and his relentless pursuit of wealth and power. As Alexander watched in horror, he saw the pain and suffering he had caused, reflected back at him in vivid detail. "Have you no remorse for your actions?" the arbiter asked, its voice echoing in the chamber. Alexander felt a lump form in his throat as he struggled to find the words. For the first time in his life, he was confronted with the consequences of his arrogance, and he was filled with regret. I didn't realize." Alexander stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. But before he could say more, the arbiter held up a hand to silence him. "Your words mean nothing without action to back them up," the arbiter intoned. "You have a choice to make. Continue down the path of arrogance and face eternal punishment, or learn humility and seek redemption." With a heavy heart, Alexander chose the latter, determined to change his ways and make amends for his past misdeeds. The arbiter nodded in approval and granted Alexander a second chance, returning him to the world with a newfound sense of purpose. From that day forward, Alexander dedicated himself to helping others and using his wealth for the greater good. He established charities, built schools and hospitals, and worked tirelessly to uplift those in need. Over time, he earned the respect and admiration of his peers, not for his wealth or status, but for his humility and compassion. In the end, Alexander learned that true greatness is not measured by the size of one's bank account or the grandeur of one's possessions, but by the kindness and generosity one shows to others. And though his journey had been fraught with hardship and self-discovery, Alexander emerged a changed man, ready to embrace a life of humility and service to others. Thank you for watching this video.